boys and girls, young architects, and entrepreneurs. Namaskar. In this presentation, I am going to tell you work management and the five aspects of work management. These aspects are given by a management guru. He has written wonderful books on management, and some of his books are in poetic language. One of the books that I always refer is You and I in Business, which is a beautiful, very small book written entirely with poetry. So one should go through that book. Coming back to the principles of work management, there are five principles of work management that he gives. And let us go through those five principles of work management one by one. So these are five dimensions of work management. Let us see which are these five dimensions of work management. Number one, in vision. So whichever company you join, there has to be a powerful vision. Number two, mission. To achieve vision, to achieve the set goal, what are the stepping stones in between? Number three is the strategy that should be in place for progression of a company. Number four is resources, which resources that are required for taking the company forward. And number five, and which is the most important one is the communication. You should have excellent communication skills to impress upon people. So now one by one, we'll go through in detail about these five important aspects. Let us see about the vision. What is vision? Vision is a long-term goal. It is the ability to see beyond the present. It is also about what the school of architecture, I mean, or company intends to do in the long run. Vision focuses on tomorrow. It is not about the past. It is not about the present, but it looks forward to a distant objective. What the organization wants to become is very important in vision. It is always forward looking, it is motivational and inspirational. People should pride in looking at the vision and feeling proud to be part of that company, reflective of a company's culture and core values. That's also another aspect of a vision, aimed at bringing benefits and improvements to the organization in future. And also it defines a company's reason for existence. Without a vision, a company really cannot exist, and where the company will go in future, how it will progress, in which direction will it progress in future. These are all the aspects of vision. Let us take example of Microsoft vision. The great company Microsoft, its vision is to help people and businesses throughout the world and realize their full potential. That is the Microsoft vision. It aims at realizing the full potential of the people and the businesses. And what is the Microsoft mission? Microsoft mission is to empower every person. and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So they would like to empower every person. That is the mission. So this is what is called vision. Let us see the second aspect, and that is mission. What is mission? Mission is a goal to be achieved for vision. Example is to become a school of international standards. That can be the mission. And what is the vision behind this? Vision, vision is the Sanskrit adage called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The entire world is one family. And to wrap up that entire world into one family, let the students of various countries come together, form a group, and learn. And that is where the mission comes into picture to become a school of international standards, where not only Indians but even the people from foreign countries, the students from foreign countries would look forward taking admission, learning together, and and supporting the vision of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It tells about aim and values of a company. It is the purpose of being in existence. Mission defines the direction of the school. Now, here are the examples. The mission of Google is to organize world's information and makes it universally accessible and useful. And that is what we see when we browse on Google. We experience this every time. Whereas there is another platform for presentation. It's a platform where you can reveal your own innovations and ideas to the general public, called TED, TEDx. And simple, in 2 words, the entire mission of the TED is revealed, and that is spread ideas. So spread ideas from the platform that the, the company TED creates for people. So that is all about mission. Let us go to the third aspect, that is strategy. What strategy we should follow to achieve vision and the mission. So strategies are the method to achieve mission. It is a plan of action to achieve defined goals. Strategy needs vision and purpose. Without that, we cannot have any planned strategy to take the company forward. Competitive advantage is the core of strategy planning. What are the example of the strategies? What are the various ways we can follow to have the right strategy in place? Invitation to speak at conferences. No, you have to represent the company. You have to represent your country. And therefore, the public platforms or the, the specific focused platforms are the best to take part into various conferences, conclaves, meets, and project yourself, and thereby you are projecting your company and the company's vision and mission you are projecting through your lecture, through your presentation at various fora. Also, strategy can be mentioned by one or two key opinion leaders. So if people of good standing start praising about your company, your venture, your school, then the word spreads very fast. Nowadays, we go online. So every company, every school of architecture will have a website. So one need to find out how you can attract more traffic to the website, and thereby there will be a lot of footfall onto the website, and that is where no you are exposed to the entire world. You are exposed to number of people within India and outside India. Increased inquiries. That is how it will happen. When a lot of people visit website, it will automatically have more and more inquiries coming in, and potential customers will start getting attracted to the website and to the company's purpose. But for all these things, you need to have very good personal in place. So if you are in teaching line, then you should have a very good, very experienced, and very uh, qualified faculty members with you. And it's not that easy to get well qualified and well experienced faculty members just by the advertisement, just by conducting the interviews. You don't get that. You have to focus on the right people and see to it, pursue and see to it that they join your organization and they don't go elsewhere. For that, specific strategy has to be in place. Sometimes you may have to pick up the person wherever the person is. I will tell you a story. Uh, when we were conducting an interview, one of the candidate, a lady candidate, just could not come. She sent a telegram saying that her daughter is seriously ill, having a high fever, and she just cannot make it to the interview. She was from Kolkata. Well, the interview was over. A couple of people were selected, and but then the problem of that lady candidate remained in my mind. That no, she had good experience. She had done her post graduation from University of Pennsylvania, and she was perfect to be taken as a faculty member. After about 3 or 4 months, I had a chance to visit Kolkata. So I contacted her and she was very happy. She said, please come and then I would like to come and meet you. I went to my vice chancellor and talked to him, and I sought his permission that I should conduct an interview for her right in Calcutta. And he said, okay, no, go ahead. With that confidence and permission, when I went to Calcutta, I called her. She came. I was in Indian Institute of Management doing some work at Calcutta. She came to meet me, and then while going back in the taxi, it took us half an hour to reach the city center. So I discussed with her, asked her a couple of questions, and at getting down at a point, I before she bid me goodbye, I said that look, this was the interview and you are selected, and she was quite surprised, and she was very happy to know that all that discussion was an interview. And anyway, later on when I went back to my place, I we issued a uh, appointment letter to her. Today she is a professor with great uh, experience, and all students like her, and she is settled very well. So that is what I wanted to say, that sometimes you need to pick up right person from the right place. Not everybody will come to the place of interview. So that is all about the strategy. We'll see the next point, that is resources. What are resources? Resources are three M's: supply of money, materials, and men. Three M's, which are very important for any organization. Without these three, the organization really cannot progress further. Many other assets are also to be drawn on organization in order to function effectively. But the first and the most important thing is money. Appropriate funding is required for creating assets. Retaining quality faculty and persons and progression is very important. So you have to choose, as I have told you earlier, you have to choose the right faculty, right person, reach to that person, pursue him to join the organization, and then see that the person progresses well. It's not that he just continues to receive the same pay package all through. There has to be an increase in pay package. There has to be increase in his qualification, in his status in the organization over a period of time. So if he knows that there is a progression, there is no stagnation in the company, the the employee is going to give his best to the organization. Assets that are critical for functioning and to take company forward on desired path of progress. That's very important. Some of these aspects, especially in the School of Architecture, are climatology lab, which is a very expensive proposal, but every school should try to establish a good climatology lab. Fab lab, these days it's very important to have models, 3D models printed into a fab lab, and simulation software. There are a lot of softwares available. So very good authentic softwares are the need of any school of architecture or any company. So these are some of the resources which are so very important in functioning of an organization and its scaling new heights. And number five, but is not the least, is one of the most important aspect, and that is communication. So what is this communication? Developing meaning among entities or groups. It is for the use of sufficiently mutually understood signs, symbols, semiotic conventions. So sometimes just by symbol, you understand what it is. For example, a Wi-Fi symbol, which is so very common in our smartphones. So many in so many ways it is common at railway stations, airports, and all that. So we know that Wi-Fi signal is available there. And this symbol is such that irrespective of language and communication, it's all available anywhere throughout the world, and person from any country will understand it. So that's the power of a symbol. Then the other ways of communication is letters, emails, creating blogs, sending messages, or audio video conferencing. So these are various ways of communication, and its appropriate handling and effective use can lead to a good communication and a good rapport about a company. Even organization's logo becomes a very powerful symbol of communication. For example, take uh, State Bank of India. That blue color is a very signature color of that organization. We cannot imagine State Bank with any other color. For example, a red color. So our mind will not accept it. So it's a signature color of State Bank, blue color. And the logo, very specific logo of State Bank of India, because they do banking transaction, they deal with money. The logo represents a keyhole, and a keyhole means lock, and keyhole also means security. So it gives you an idea that, yeah, whatever you deal with the bank, keep your money in the bank, it's all going to be safe. That is what is projected through this simple logo of keyhole that is adopted by the State Bank. So logo becomes a very important aspect of communication. Slogan, slogan, slogan also is a very important aspect of communication. For example, a slogan like "inspired by life" can be a very powerful statement. So the company gets inspired by somebody's earlier work done and then look forward, progress, progressing in future is a very powerful slogan. So there are so many slogans the companies adopt, and those slogans also become stepping stones for taking the company forward. I'll give you an example of Maxwell Coffee. They have a slogan called "Good to the last drop." And that's a very powerful slogan, because that coffee, when you are drinking the coffee until the last drop, you relish, you enjoy every drop of that coffee. There was a funny incident at a quiz event. The quiz master asked this question to the audience: tell me, which company has this promotional slogan, "Good to the last drop"? He was expecting the answer as Maxwell Coffee. But somebody, a backbencher in the audience, got up and very sheepishly, uncertainly said, "Is it Otis Elevator?" And that created a laughing in the audience. So sometimes it can be a funny situation like this. But anyway, it is all communication, and one should uh, take it that way. So these are the 5 dimensions of work management: vision, mission, strategy, resources, and communication. I would like to end my lecture with quote from one of the renowned industrialists, Ratan Tata of India. And Ratan Tata said, "I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take decisions and then make them right." So this is how a leader should think about. And at another quote, Ratan Tata says, "Take the stones people throw at you and use them to build a monument. So all the abuses that you receive, try to encash on this and try to build up your company and take the company forward onto the right path. So that is about the 5 dimensions of work management. We have seen them: vision, mission, strategy, resources, and communication. These are very important for a company to progress. I hope you will get some very important points from this presentation, and these points may be useful. This presentation may be useful for your progression in life. Thank you.